So I want to welcome you, Dr. Gbolaga Olanrewaju, to this podcast. This is Leadership Blueprint podcast. The idea of this podcast is to kind of provide a kind of a blueprint of how things can be done in a more better and appropriate way in African context. The idea is that the greatest problem in Africa is leadership at all levels. And the belief that we have at School of Transformational Leadership is that when we can resolve the leadership problem, you can almost fix all the problem in Africa. And one of the area we're going to be talking about today is an area that I think Africans generally are not even taking serious at all. Many people don't even have the idea of whether there is any space anywhere or there is any other reality that is out there that is different from the one that they see on a daily basis. But you can tell that the reality that exists beyond our planet is enormous, is unimaginable, is unquantifiable, is so vast that it's beyond human comprehension. And unfortunately, our leaders across all the countries in Africa are not even paying any attention to this, which shows how serious or how unserious that we have been when it comes to taking leadership in this area. And I know you've had some connection with NASA. You've done some project with NASA, and I know you do have some experience in sharing some of the interface you've had with NASA, and I know you can bring some of those experience to bear in this podcast. So I just want to start by asking you, how was your experience with NASA?
Thank you so much. I appreciate the privilege you've given me to, join this podcast. It's always a very good thing when we see people who are willing to take the bull by the horn, especially for Africa, and open our eyes to things that could make us a better continent and a better people as a whole. For me, I always correct people when they say you've worked for NASA. I said, yeah, it's I've not been a NASA employee, but just as you said, I've been an investigator on several projects sponsored by NASA, especially several space biology projects, ranging from plant projects to human projects to animal projects. So I've executed projects worth millions of dollars for NASA, and not just NASA. I've also experienced, like, I've been an investigator on projects sponsored by the UK Space Agency, that is the United Kingdom Space Agency, and I've also been on projects sponsored by the European Space Agency. So I can say that I've witnessed different country. I've witnessed working with different country space agency, and I'm working with this space agency with particular emphasis on NASA now. It makes you understand that these people are forward thinking. Recently, in 2024, NASA delivered what we call the NASA Decadal Plan, which is just a plan of the things NASA is going to do for the next 10 years. And I was part of the people who drafted that plan. It was presented to the National Academy, the United States National Academy of Science. And looking at that plan, and looking at the fact that group of scientists were sat down and we were preparing for the next 10 years, things they're gonna do in the next 10 years, it's like, okay, to work with this agency, you have to be forward thinking. They are forward thinking, they have things they want to do in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. And also because of that, they have technologies that will not really be available to the general populace in the next 10 years. They are currently using that technology. So working with the space agency, especially NASA, working on NASA project, made me understand that you have to be forward thinking. And also it exposed me to traveling to different parts of the world. I've traveled to several countries, several observatory units. And just as I said, I'm more in the biological part of things, plants, animals, and humans. And so because of that, I've been privileged to see several technologies that the layperson might not know currently exist. But NASA and most other space agencies, they are really forward thinking. And working with them made you understand you can't afford to be stagnant. You can't afford to be backward thinking. You just have to think forward.
Thank you, Dr. Gbolaga. Now, I know you said you are more into the biological aspect of the activity that is being carried out in space, and that is about life. And we all know how valuable life is here on Earth. Life is everything, you know, and I know people okay, maybe I should talk about myself. Number one, I want you to know that I'm a very curious person. I'm very curious, especially when it comes to scientific investigation. I started out as a science student, but I'd wanted to do something that is related to physics, but along the way, I had to drop off because my mathematics was not very good. So that was what made me to abandon the idea of pursuing any further scientific investigation. But my curious scientific mindset is still there. And so I'm sure you might be a little bit surprised that I have some insight into some of the activities that is going on in space. That is to show you and to tell you that my mind is really open to really understand what is going out there in the space. Now, we all know the value of life. The question that scientists, philosophers have been asking for many years, maybe close to a century now, or even more, is that are we alone in this universe? Are there any other forms of life out there that we are yet to uncover? So I just want you to give a little more details about what space biology is all about, because I know biology deals with life. So please go ahead and tell us some of the things that we might need to know that will educate us about space biology.
Two questions together, and
Yeah.
I'll be like, which one should we pick first?
Yeah.
Should we start from space biologists, then go to are we alone?
Okay. Okay, maybe we should ask, are we alone first, and then talk about space biology?
Right. When you tell people, well, I'm a space biologist, or I work with space stuff, they ask you, they say, oh, we are not alone, there are people out there. And a lot of conspiracy theory, people say, oh, communication has been established. In fact, people are expecting aliens, the way the media project them. And well, I cannot tell you there are no aliens. I have no privilege to such information that there are aliens or there are no aliens. And one of the things you have to understand as a scientist is you cannot just make a statement, and you cannot just make a statement for making sake. You have to have a proof to back whatever you say up. So one thing that I know in the science community is we currently don't have evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, be it alien, be it worm, be it flying spaghetti. We currently have no evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. Now, there have been different search dedicated even towards this, and most of those search are tagged as trying to make contact with extraterrestrial power. But of course, these search are still limited in their scope based on the limit of the equipment we have. Maybe in the next 10 years, in the next 100 years, we'll be able to establish this. So whatever I say now is not really absolute. But one thing we know is there are about 6,000 confirmed exoplanets. Those are smaller planets, bigger planets that are planets apart from Earth. And we have different telescopes there. Currently we have the James Webb telescope, which is the biggest one now. And it has characterized atmospheres of a small planet like the K2-18 planet, where methane and carbon dioxide are detected. So like the James Webb telescope has characterized some small planet, exoplanet, where they've discovered methane and carbon dioxide in their atmosphere. And methane and carbon dioxide, they are valid biological signatures. Methane gas, CO2, they are valid biological signature. They actually precede the onset of life. However, following this up with techno signature surveys with equipment like SETI, like there was an experiment, I want to remember the name now. Okay, we call it the breakthrough listing. It was an experiment meant to listen into those exoplanets and see if there will be a kind of feedback. This techno signature survey continued to report back a non-result for narrowband beacon that were shot into those places. So the balance of evidence is that there are habitable environments out there that we've not touched. But technologically, life remains unconfirmed in any other planet as we speak now. I don't know, maybe in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, things can change. But currently, as we speak, life remains unconfirmed. And so I think I guess that will lead us to your second question, where you ask, what is space biology? Humans are here on Earth, but we believe that humans should not be limited only to Earth. Humans should be a kind of multiplanetary organism. We should be able to explore into other planets. Why? Because research has shown that there are drugs that could not be manufactured here on Earth, but they are able to manufacture it outside Earth. Research has shown that there are cells like organs that we could grow better outside Earth. Research has shown it that there are rare minerals that are not here on Earth, but can be found outside Earth. So we have several reasons to think of, let us go outside Earth. Let us explore. Just as you said, you were curious. Curiosity is part of humanity. And that gives birth to exploration. But going outside Earth is it means exploring uncharted territories. And uncharted territories have various signatures, chemical signatures, environmental signatures, ionizing radiation, gas, vapor, gas, oxidizing factors, and a lot of things which are detrimental to biological system. So space biology tries to understand how organisms are going to survive when you take them away from Earth and when you introduce them to extraterrestrial planet. Another example I'm going to give is this. I want you to think of this very careful example. On Earth, when you put a seed inside the soil, how does the seed knows which direction to grow the leaf and which direction to grow the roots? Because you just drop a seed, you did not know, you did not position it in any direction. Like let's use an example of a corn. When you throw a corn in the soil, the corn automatically knows where it's up and where it's down. But it's not really automatic because it is guided by gravity.
Yeah.
Gravity tells plants, this is up, this is down. And because of that, grow your leaf upward, grow your shoots downward. But not just gravity, even light. Light causes the leaf to come nearer to it.
Exactly, because it needs the light for produce chlorophyll.
Yeah, so light causes the leaf come up, and gravity tells the root come down. In space, outside Earth, the gravity varies. Outside the Earth, we have what we call the lower Earth orbit, LEO. The gravity is almost zero. In that place, when you grow plants, how does the plant now know where it's up or down? So we've seen videos like we've sent plants to space, and we've seen video where the plants were trying to grow in space, where there is no light and there is no gravity. And the plants were really crazy. They're like, where's up, where's down, where's up, where's down? And so if we are sending people outside there, one of the fundamental problems we have is how do we make food for them?
Yeah.
If plants don't know the direction to grow, they won't produce what they need to produce.
Yeah.
So space biology tries to understand how do we make food for astronauts? How do we make food for people that are going to be there? Not only that, how does gravity affect, how does lack of gravity, we call it microgravity or altered gravity, affect biological system? And how can we mitigate that? So that is what space biology does. And just as an addition, there is another aspect that people mistake that is called astrobiology. It's different from space biology. Astrobiology tries to understand life outside the Earth.
Okay.
Space biology tries to understand how life from Earth is going to cope
extending
when
life
they go
from
there.
Earth to space.
Yes. So astrobiology is more of take life from space to Earth.
Okay.
So that's a big difference.
There is a significant difference that one needs to. Yeah, thank you. Now, I just want to ask, I'm going to ask two follow-up questions. One is, how advanced are you in the science community to making life sustainable in the space or in space? Because you were talking about growing plants, it's still part of the exploration, trying different things that is going to work. So I just want to know, at what stage is the scientific community in their advancement to taking life from Earth into space? Are we there yet, or are we still looking at 20, 30, 40 years to this time before we can fully say we are ready to take life to space? Or are we still at the exploratory, still trying to figure things out? Are we still at that stage?
Well, that's question. It's a question we ask ourselves whenever we have any conference, especially the conference of American Society for Gravitational and Space Research. It's a question we ask ourselves: where are we? How far have we gone? One thing I want to establish is, since the year 2000, at least one human being have always been in space. Since the year 2000, at least one human being have always been in space. That human being have always been on what we call the International Space Station, ISS, that is owned by the United States, by Russia, and different other countries. Behind me, if you look at the image I have behind me, that is an example of an ISS module. So this is like a replica. This is where they train astronauts before they go to ISS in space. So this is a replicate of it. I was there in 2022. I was at Johnson Space Center in Austin, and I was privileged to see these things and also enter them and see what it looks like. So if we have been able to keep human being in space since 2000, it tells us that it is possible to keep human in space. However, keeping human in space comes with its own challenges. Now, when I say space now, I'm still talking about lower Earth orbit. The lower Earth orbit is just the space slightly above Earth. It is not the moon, it is not the Mars, it's the space slightly above Earth. That is where the ISS is.
Can we say beyond the ozone layer?
Yes, it's beyond the ozone layer. It's beyond the ozone layer, and it is outside of Earth's gravity influence. So the Earth's gravity is not pulling anything. Everything there is floating. And so one of the challenge in space against human habitation is what we call ionizing radiation.
Yeah.
Galactic cosmic ray. We have different kind of radiation in space, which are detrimental to the cell. So the first thing research has been dedicated to is how to provide what we call shielding, to shield radioactive shield, to shield the effect of radiation from human. And there is a big advancement on radioactive shield currently. And the second thing is microgravity. Remember I said ionizing radiation is the first challenge. The second challenge is microgravity. When we know on Earth here, we say whatever goes up does what? Comes down. But in space, whatever goes up stays up.
Keeps floating.
Yeah, it keeps floating. And that affects every part of the system. One of the things it affects is our telomere. Telomere determines how we age biologically. In space, telomere is affected such that when you come back from space, you seem to be younger than the person here on Earth.
Yeah.
Apart from that, metabolism and different other things are affected. So currently, we've been able to develop radioactive shield for the lower Earth orbit. We've been able to keep human beings in lower Earth orbit for 2,000 years without long-term effect on them. And currently, the United States has started what we call the Lunar and the Martian mission. And the aim of the lunar mission is they are going to fly Artemis 3 very soon. They've flown Artemis 1, Artemis 2. They are going to fly Artemis 3. Artemis 3 will carry human cell to see how the cell is affected by the lunar environment. So I can't say in the next 20 years, because if you study how AI was able to develop, you'll be like, wow. I was telling my wife, I said, last year, like a year ago, 2 years ago, there was really nothing as such as the level of AI we have now. And we don't know how that is going to be next year. And that is the same thing with space exploration. Next year, don't be surprised if you have human going to settle in space. But there are core active research on that. Core active research. There was a seminar that we held in Ohio in 2024, where we had the whole bioastronautic community. And in that seminar, they were even discussing things as trivial as how do we wash clothes in space? So they're trying to use a kind of unified approach. Clothing, entertainment, medicine, food, health, it's a unified approach to human settlement in space. So I believe that very, very soon, we'll see people going there to settle and not just going and coming. I even had the rumor that people are already buying space there.
I just want to follow up with a question. I know it's only, as far as I know now, it's only Elon Musk that is very daring to go to Mars. Most of the other private space explorer are more focused on just staying around Moon and not going beyond Moon, because they feel that Moon is a safer place to be than going to Mars, because if you go to Mars, the chance of coming back is the earliest you can come back is after 6 months, and that has to be when when Mars is at a particular distance away from the heart. So, which means is a really very dangerous journey to make if you want to do it. But I believe Elon Musk can do it. I know the guy can do it, but I just want to ask, is life either on Moon or Mars? How visible is it for life to survive in those spaces? Because, when you look at Moon, there is no cloud. And then when you look at Mars also, there is no cloud like we have here on Earth. So how are the people who are going to settle down in those places, how are they going to be able to protect themselves against the cosmic rail that you just mentioned now? Because that is going to be a big challenge. So how visible is life, to exist on Moon and also on Mars?
Thank you so much for that question also. Before I go straight to that question, I would love to chip this in. If humans are going to settle in space, currently in Mars or in Moon, they will be in a kind of biohabitable capsule.
Okay.
That means a closed shelter system which had controlled air. We call it regenerative life support system.
Okay.
So it will be a closed ecosystem, and it will have a regenerative capability. So they won't directly be exposed to the atmosphere of Moon or the atmosphere of Mars, at least for now. And that astronaut, when they step, like the US astronaut have been able to step on Moon, they are the only one to have done that. And when they step on Moon, they are always in their astronauts in their astronaut vests, like well kitted up. And coincidentally, I've been able to meet Ari Schmidt. He's 90 years old now. He was the last person on Moon to step on Moon. I've been able to meet him and take pictures with him.
Wow.
So how feasible? Yeah, I met him in 2022 in Texas.
It's really one of my biggest dream to also be in space, even if it's just to be at the edge. I have that dream.
Possible now, because there are a lot of private companies taking that.
I know. I know. It's one of my biggest dreams. I've been telling my wife about it.
Well, there are a lot of private companies
doing
that.
I know a Nigerian went recently through
with Melon.
Yeah,
he went recently, took Melon down there, and so
Melon,
So how feasible
now in space.
How feasible is it for life to survive on the Moon and Mars? Well, it will be surprising to you that life is even more feasible to survive on Mars than Moon. So on the Moon, surviving in an unshielded environment of the Moon is not feasible for any known life on Earth, because the Moon has great vacuum. It's like a vacuum. It has large temperature swing, and there are solar and galactic radiation. And the Moon has no native atmosphere, just as you said. There is no cloud. However, one glimpse of hope in the Moon is when you see pictures of the Moon, you see depressions. There are like depressions all on the Moon. We call it craters. We call it craters, polar craters. And exploration of the polar craters have shown that those craters contained ice.
Okay.
We call those ice cryoconites. I used to work with a lady who was a cryoconite expert. She worked in Antarctica. So those craters have been shown to contain water ice, which could support sheltered habitat, and then which could also provide the kind of thermal shielding. So that also make it feasible to, for sustained human presence. It makes it feasible. So if humans are going to start living in the moon, I think exploration of the crater is the first thing they are trying to do. Mars, on the other side, Mars is drier. The surface is colder, and it has high oxidation level. If you look at the surface of Mars, everything is reddish.
Yeah, reddish.
That's high oxidation. However, it is more permissive than the moon. The radiation
and I also learned there are a lot of lava tubes.
Yeah.
Lava tubes on Mars.
Yeah, on the Mars. And the radiation in Mars is about 0.6 to 0.7 millisieverts, which is within the engineering range for human mission when you provide the adequate shielding.
Okay.
So we believe that Mars has the potential to hold more microbe. And so currently, in the space biology community, we have a soil from the moon. I want to remember the name. We call it regolith. We have regoliths from the moon that different labs are sharing. We are growing plants in those regoliths. We are rearing animals on those regoliths.
And they are growing.
Yes, they are growing. But at the same time, we conducting different investigation to see the difference between those plants grown on regolith and those grown on normal soil.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
whether they are also going to be edible.
They are edible.
Oh,
they're edible. For me, I've eaten like I've tasted a tomato.
Oh, you are the alien. I can call you an alien.
So the thing is, when you go to our conferences, investigators working on these things, they bring it, they ask you to taste it, and then we do a lot of funny things. So I've tasted, salad.
Yeah.
People, they grow salad, they grow things like that in regolith, and funny enough, there are companies on Earth now that makes regolith.
Wow.
They got that regolith material from moon, then they try to simulate it.
Okay.
They try to simulate those compounds as much as possible.
Wow.
So I believe that with this pointers, with this, they are leading us on to the fact that life indeed can survive on moon and Mars. But the major thing that I mentioned was radiation shielding is the biggest thing. Radiation shielding, and then establishing a natural flora, microbes. If there is no microorganism somewhere, human being cannot survive.
Yeah.
Even though we complain that, we get sick because of microorganism, they make us, if microorganisms do not survive somewhere, we cannot survive. After microorganism, plants must come in.
Yeah.
Because plants are essential for regenerative support system.
Yeah.
In layman term, you breathe out CO2, you breathe in oxygen. Something makes that oxygen.
Yeah.
So Elon Musk is really taking the bull by the horn.
Yeah.
He's a very sharp person. I really wish, there was a time I feel like, I wish to work with this man. I really wish to work with him. Well, if I still have the opportunity to, I really wish to, work with him as a biologist. So, because there are endless possibilities to what could be achieved. But currently, this year, next year, US is going to send their Artemis 3 mission to the moon. And one thing US is trying to do is to build what we call a gateway between the moon and Earth. And Earth, not even Mars, Earth.
Okay.
So they call the gateway Orion. That's what they call the gateway, Orion. And what the gateway will stand for is they will be able to send space shuttle from Earth. The space shuttle will dock in the gateway.
Okay.
And they can move from the gateway to moon.
Okay.
Back to the gateway, then come back to Earth. That would be like a docking system, just like the ISS.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Now, there is still one more question before we leave live space biology, life on moon or Mars and space biology. Now, I know recently, you can also confirm this, there was a meteorite that was discovered somewhere. I can't remember where they said it was discovered, that contained the DNA, human DNA, which shows the likelihood of human, that the life that we live now, which shows that actually came from somewhere, or we don't know where the meteorite came from, but the meteorite, when they investigated the meteorite, they could see the traces of our DNA on the meteorite. I don't know if you've heard anything about that, and how true do you think that is, and what do we make out of it?
The asteroid. Um, well, I remember the paper was published in Nature. I read that paper. And during NASA Osiris Rex mission, NASA Osiris Rex mission, there were samples collected from asteroid Bennu. Asteroid Bennu, that's the name of that asteroid. Well, it doesn't contain DNA, it contains amino acid.
Okay.
Which is the building block of life.
Yeah.
So amino acid, that's the building block of protein. Yeah. So it also points to us. It also points to us that of course there might be extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
There might be extraterrestrial life. It's point to us because having amino acid in meteorite is unusual, but we've had a lot of them, not just one. But I know that the one collected from asteroid Bennu was the one I'm really familiar.
There are all
With.
kinds of junks on the social media now, so one really needs to be careful to know which one is
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. Different NASA mission have collected meteorite and found amino acid in it. Now, one thing that points to us is if we study the origin of life, evolution, like evolution part of origin of life starts from RNA and then goes up, goes up. The building block of these are usually amino acid. So that kind of it provides evidence that the raw materials for life are not unique to Earth.
Yeah. Mm.
And another thing is that there's probability that the raw material that started life on Earth was delivered from outside Earth.
Yeah, that could be.
So that area of research is usually a strong forte for astrobiologists.
Yeah.
And not really for space biologists.
Biology, okay.
But I remember that I read the paper on that. It's true.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think I'm sure our viewers will be learning a lot of things from this podcast. So let's bring our conversation now home. Let's come home now. We've talked about what other people are doing. Now let's focus on Africa. I want to ask you, because you are the professional here, so you know where and who is doing what and what within the space community. So I just want to ask, does any African country currently participate in space mission? I know there was something that was said some few weeks ago about Tunisia sending rocket to the something of sorts, sending rocket to space. I don't know how true that is, but I just want you to confirm to us, does any African country participate in space mission as we speak today?
Yes. Space mission is multi-dimensional. Okay. I told you there are space biology, there are geophysics, geochemistry, geology. There are different, and then satellites, people. Yeah. Currently, it's surprisingly more than 18 African countries have launched satellites into space.
I know Nigeria did sometimes in 2015 5 or thereabout.
Yeah, in 2025, in 2005, yeah. Not just once, we've launched more than one satellite in space. More than 18 African countries. At least I can mention Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria, Algeria, Morocco have done that, Kenya have done that, Rwanda. And another thing is many African countries also have their national space agency.
Yeah.
I don't know if you are aware, Nigeria has the National Space Agency.
I'm aware, but we're not hearing anything.
In fact,
it's not dormant to me because I can't hear anything happening there.
Nigeria has a space agency, NASDRA, National Space Stuff Agency.
Yeah.
Three weeks ago, because I had a collaboration with them.
Is it the one? I know there is another one in OAU. Are you familiar with the?
I'm familiar with the one at OAU, Energy.
Yeah.
You know, I am an alumnus of OAU, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, Energy. I'm familiar with that. Okay. But Nigeria's NASDRA is a federal agency, and they have people working there, space officers, space research scientists, working on microgravity. Yeah. In fact, about 3 weeks ago, one of our papers, that I did in collaboration with researchers from Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, it was a kind of confluence, researchers from NASA, from NASDRA, and from other African countries. We presented a paper in Australia last 3 weeks. Mm. So Nigeria also have an active space program. In fact, in 2025, this year, they signed what we call the Artemis Accord. I don't know if you read about that. The Artemis Accord is a plan on what we call responsible exploration of space.
Yeah.
And Nigeria and Rwanda were the first African signatory to the Artemis Accord. That was in 2022, yes. Senegal was the third country to join this year in 2025.
Okay.
So, in our little capability, African countries are being involved, though not at a rate.
I'm glad to hear that, but we are not yet at that
rate. Not at the rate we should be. Okay. We are being involved more in things that are only essential to our current survival. Yeah, we'll put it like that, like satellites. Yeah, and the truth is, the satellites we launched, like Nigeria as a case study, we had to ask another country to launch it for us. So it wasn't our own technology. It wasn't our engineer launching this thing.
China.
Yeah, China, we had to kind of back on another country. And, we launched satellites in space and it even get lost.
But
and when you understand that
initial launch this year was done by their own engineers.
Yes. So indigenously, we are not there.
Okay.
Indigenously, we are not there.
But
and I believe
do we have the capability? We have the capability yet.
It's not really a big deal.
Okay.
Launching satellites to space is not really a big deal. It doesn't involve much engineering as we think. I think Nigeria only lack the will.
The will.
And not really the capability.
Yeah, and the vision.
Will to sponsor it.
Yeah.
We have intelligent and brilliant engineers and scientists.
I don't doubt that. I believe that.
I've met Nigerians working in this line, and I was like, man, I don't even know you are here. And they are top engineers. They are top engineers. So we have people with this capability, but we just don't have the will.
Just to coordinate them and then to provide a vision.
Yes.
To execute that.
And then when we talk about space, I've seen many Nigerians kind of talk to me and be like, you are going to space. What happened to the things that are here? Have we solved the problem here on Earth first? And, just as what I said in the beginning, that these people are forward thinkers.
Yeah.
And that is why they are where they are.
Yeah, we have to. We can't
be
thinking of what to eat and drink alone. We have to look into the future as well.
By the time we wake up, they are miles away.
Exactly.
And it's evident in what we are seeing currently between Nigeria, other African countries, and the Western world. we have to think beyond what we have to eat now
Exactly.
and think beyond and think of, instead of eating this seed, why can't I plant it to grow into a tree?
Exactly.
And that is what we say when we talk about space exploration. The United States, Europe, Japan Space Agency is called JAXA. UK Space Agency, they are doing beyond just sending astronauts to space. They are doing beyond that. They're establishing territorial influence for themselves already.
I know. Yeah.
We call it
And that is
colonization.
where Africans are going to suffer because we are not making our presence felt there at that level.
That's it. Policy-wise, they are colonizing already. They are dividing the lands.
Yeah, they are dividing.
Space.
Exactly.
China said, okay, we are sending our own stuff to this part of the moon. India said, oh, we are the first to get to this part of the moon. They are, and the truth is, in space, there are a lot of treasures. I won't call it earth metal now, I'll call it rare metals, which are essential for technology. It's beyond mining lithium. What if you can tap into something like that in bulk in space? You don't need to mine here on Earth. That is what the Western world are doing. Elon is interested in this thing. Do we think it's just about, oh, we go to space? No, he's also looking at raw materials.
Yeah.
Space is an embodiment of raw materials. And apart from that, space is a platform, it's a scaffold for different innovation.
Yeah, I believe.
There are a lot of, like, I'll give an example about generation of organs. Organoids. I'm looking for an easier term to call organoids. Let me see an example that I can give.
Well, I think I get you because I know there was a recent organ regeneration that happened.
Regeneration, basically. When they are going on
where they said they grew, was it is it pancreas in the lab?
Pancreatic cells, they grow things like that. Now, when those things are grown on Earth, they are usually imperfect due to the effect of gravity. But when gravity is not there, in microgravity, they are more perfect than when they are grown on Earth. Now, they are doing vaccine generation in space, testing these things to see if they will be better produced there than here. So the space environment is a frontier for many development beyond just going there for show off. Also, the control of desertification, climate monitoring. I'm sure United States do climate monitoring from space. I'm sure of that. Wildfire control.
Yeah, I've learned about that.
There are a lot of benefits that the space ecosystem offers us.
I think even in recent time, they are beginning to be able to read where possible earthquake would happen from.
Yeah, because they can see the signatures.
Yeah,
they can see the seismographic signatures easily from outer space.
Yes.
Than when here.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I just want to add, what are the other potential prospects or challenges that we have as Africans when it comes to space exploration? What are the potential prospects that the things we stand to gain, or some of the limiting factors that is hindering us from also taking our own spots in the exploration?
We have challenges that are still basic to humanity that we are dealing with, and so we prefer to focus on that than, just like, what are you looking for in space? I'm tempted to say that, but the truth is there any economy that is not really facing basic challenges too?
Probably since post-COVID, every country was badly hit.
Country, is everywhere. The country is facing. I think it's more about priorities.
Mm.
The leadership, the African leadership, we are not prioritizing the space exploration because we choose to be deaf to the benefits that it offers.
Yeah, because it's not something they can grab something from very quickly.
Yeah, yeah. We want fast gratification.
Yeah.
We want fast gratification. Unfortunately, we fail to understand that development comes from investment in research and development, R&D, over time.
Yeah.
GPS was developed in the military. It was developed many, many years before it became available to common man on the street. But we all know the benefit of GPS currently. And we all know the wealth the United States is making from GPS. It's not just GPS. China has its own version. Russia has its own version. Africa needs to understand that we need to start investing beyond what we eat currently. We need to start looking beyond current gratification and start investing for the future of our children. When the space exploration will start yielding its effect, unfortunately, I don't think Africa will be found anyway, which is very, very sad and unfortunate.
Yeah, I think you're already eating into the advice that I would have wished that you give to our African leaders, because for somebody like me, I'm very, very passionate about Africa. At least if we cannot surpass them, at least let's be
measurable.
At least where we can also be able to make our voice known and heard. Because as it is now, whatever we say now doesn't count for nothing. Nobody cares to listen because we are not there. And the reason why we are not there is because our leaders are not taking things serious. But I think with this kind of a podcast, I think we can begin to open their consciousness to why these things really matter. Because even the leaders that are there now who have amassed all the resources to themselves, a time will come that the resources that they have amassed for themselves will be completely useless if we don't really have a say in how the global society is being governed. The resources will be useless. It will be another form of slavery that we encountered in the 16th and 17th, 15th century. So are there any other advice that you can offer to our African leaders so that they begin to look in this direction? At least a kind of a wake-up call for them to...
So they should invest in 3 pillars of development. Human capital is the first. I had a quote that says, take all my companies, take all my machines, but leave the workers with me, and I will build up again. But when you take the workers, I am nothing. That is from a leader that understands that you do not grow beyond your human capacity, beyond the people you have, how capable they have. We use Nigeria as an example. The country that fails to invest in its people will fail to have people that stand for her when she really needs them. African leaders should invest in human capitals. One thing China does is to send people to somewhere, go and learn, then come back. Nigeria said, oh, we do that too. Like the Bayelsa, I remember a time they sent people out in Bayelsa and the amnesty. Niger Delta Amnesty stuff. And each state, Sokoto still said, oh, we send people out. But in actual reality, when you ask who are the people who they sent out, they are children of politicians,
Yeah.
the children of the officer in charge of it, who are not even interested in this thing.
Mm.
And so we say we send people out to develop their human capital, but they are not interested. It's not even meant for them. So it's the net yield from that effort is zero.
Mm.
So one thing China does, and China is still doing, is they send people out, go and learn. We need to start doing that in Africa.
Mm.
I'm a space biologist. I'm not sent here by Nigeria.
Mm.
I'm not saying, as much as I have my country in mind and I love my country so much, when I'm at conference, when I'm presenting what America wants me to present.
Mm.
Because they sponsor that research. They sponsor my education in that regard.
Yeah.
If I had been sponsored by Nigeria to say, oh, go there, go and learn how they do this, how they do that, the allegiance on that research will be towards Nigeria.
Exactly.
So investment in human capital, we need to create continent-wide scholarship and exchange programs in satellite engineering, molecular biology, data science, space law, and different things. And another thing is Africa needs to come together. We need to have a strong, because now they've gone so much ahead of us. It will be difficult for one country to be able to stand. Let us start from interoperable African Space Agency. South Africa is really doing fine in that, where we share intelligence, where we share technology, so that each national missions can plug into this continental service, especially for agriculture, for water, for health. So let us invest on human capital. Let us invest on our infrastructure, interoperable infrastructure, and at the same time, governance. If there is no sincere governance, nothing can work. So we need to really be sincere to ourselves and to our people. I hope our leaders will listen, right?
Hopefully, that's why we are doing this. We
Yeah.
somehow is going to get to them. We believe so. So I want to ask another question. I want to ask, is there a difference between space biology and molecular biology? Because I know you are also, I don't know the difference. Maybe you will be the one to tell us whether space biology is different from molecular biology and the significance it has in extending life in space.
Thank you. Well, one thing is different.
Okay.
But you can be at, it's different. But you can be at the intersect of the two professions.
Okay.
Space biology deals with space matters.
Okay.
Space issues. Myself, in some circle, when I introduce myself, I say I'm a molecular biologist.
Okay.
Especially in circles that do not have anything to do with space. But I'm a molecular biologist that's applied my skill in the space sector.
Okay.
So what I still do for space, for material sent to space, is I apply molecular skills. And what do molecular biologists do? We study DNA, we study RNA, we study protein, we study ion, we study different biomolecules. For me, most times I use I'm more of a computational person. So I write code to see how the space environment affects biomolecules, with particular emphasis on RNA and protein, which are the effector molecules of life. So space biology differs from molecular biologists, but you can be at the intersect of both. A space biologist deals with stuff sent to space. A molecular biologist deals with either DNA, protein, RNA, or any other biomolecule. But one thing that I want to share briefly is when I got into this field, I was lucky to work with Dr. Sarah White. That's my PI. I salute her wherever she is. She's a wonderful space biologist. And the first thing she handed to me, my first project, she said, Larry, we have a sample that was sent to space. It's the brick LED sample. You are going to extract the protein from that sample and you are going to experiment on it. And I was like, space sample. I've not dealt with that before. How am I going to do it? And so for a whole year, I have to practice with samples that will grow on Earth. Because when you have space sample, when you mess it up as a molecular biologist, it is irreplaceable.
Mm.
And that sample could be it could be $500,000, it could be millions of dollars.
Wow.
But it is irreplaceable. Because United States does not replicate experiments sent to space.
Mm.
They send it once and they bring it back.
Mm.
So this gives you a kind of pressure.
Mm. Mm.
I've been invited to different universities to help them just open space sample.
Just to open
Because
it.
everybody is scared. When those samples come, people are scared to open it and they be like, because it's like, what happens if I mess up? What happens if I spoil it? What happens if it goes bad?
Wow.
So it takes you doing it once, doing it twice, doing it, then you be like, yeah, I can handle space material now.
Yeah.
And then some people say, come, we got a sample from space. Can you please help us dissect it? And be like, okay. And when you are doing that, you are scared because you're like, if this thing mess up, there is no solution. And if there is no solution, oh God, about several researchers are waiting for that sample.
Mm.
You get a bad name.
Mm.
And your career is like over.
Wow. Now, let me also ask you, I know that like you said, since 2000, we've always have the presence of at least one man in space since 2000. So I just want to ask, because I know when people go to space, there is possibility of changes in their genetic makeup. Is that true? I'm not sure, but do they have some mutation in their genetics, or does such things happen to them? Because that is really important to ask the next question I'm going to ask.
I won't say mutation in their genetics. That's a very big word, and it's a strong word. I won't say mutation in their DNA, but a lot of things happen in the genetic landscape. A lot of signatures are created, are impressed upon their DNA, and a lot of signatures are erased. One of the signatures that I would give is that astronauts in space, there was what we call twins experiment, twin study. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Yeah, I think I've heard something.
Two twins. One was in space, one was on Earth.
Yeah, I think
when he got back, the one in space was a bit younger than the one on Earth.
Yeah.
And that's because, how do they know? In our cell, there is what we call telomere. Telomere are at the end of our DNA. They protect our DNA. They don't, as we grow, our DNA replicates. And as the DNA replicates, it goes shorter. It grows shorter. So instead of the DNA being eaten, telomere is at the end, trying to protect it. So it is telomere that is being cut and not DNA. Eventually, it will get to that level. But it's telomere that will be cut. So the shorter the telomere, the older we believe you are biologically. So in space, telomere shorten is reduced, meaning that telomere does not really shorten as much as on Earth in space. So I've been at a conference where I met with some big people, and they put different scientists in the table of these people because they want us to solicit for fun and discuss science with them. And I was discussing with these big men and women, and they were like, is it true I can get younger in space? Can we sponsor age research in space and things like that? And so we started discussing about the telomere getting shorter, and that there are current research on that. After I left my PhD lab, the next lab I joined was working on aging, and it was more of aging in space. So there are active research in that. So there are a lot of
So,
genetic signatures.
so how does that affect such people when they interbred with people here on earth, maybe with their wife or their husband, and maybe they give birth to children after the experience in space? Does it have any biological effect on human continued existence? Are we beginning to have a situation whereby factors that affect people who have gone to space, how is it shaping human here on Earth? Or are we having a process whereby at some point there is going to be a total evolution of how human he is because of that space experience with those who have gone to space and who have interbred with people here on Earth who have never gone to space? Are you people thinking of something of such happening?
Reasons, well, no such research has been conducted on human. But one thing is, like the telomere that I told you, this twin experiment, you will think like, does the reduction in age, biological age, does it go on forever? No. After 6 months, the telomere length gets down to what it should be.
Okay.
And there was no significant difference in their telomere.
Okay.
However, in plants, we've done second generation experiment where they send some seeds to space, they grow them here on Earth, then they raise seed from them, and then grow that seed again. That is F2 generation, and try to see if the effect of space still persists. Yes, the effect of space still persists in those plants. But in human and animal, there is no data that I'm aware of that talks about that currently.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, I know you are a faith person. You are a pastor. You are a child of God. You are a believer. And sometimes those who don't believe in God don't like to mix science and religion. But for those of us who are faith-based people, we always know that there is always an interface between science and religion. Those who really have that spiritual connection can really see that at some point there is that interface between science and faith. But the challenge is that sometimes the way science will come to its own conclusion is completely different from the way those who are in the spiritual, who are from the spiritual perspective, the way they are going to come to their own conclusion is going to be completely different. It's going to be parallel to what the scientific mind is saying. But at the same time, if you take time to really look deeply into the argument, even though from different perspectives, you will always see a correlation between what the scientific people are saying and with what those who are faith-based are also saying. And come to think of it, most of the earlier scientists like Isaac Newton and some other great scientists, these are people who have strong faith in God. These are people who believed in the origin of God, of a supreme being, and also they are also dedicated to their scientific research. So I just want to ask you, being a faith person, somebody who believes in God, who believes in spirituality, do you really see how science and religion, do you really see how they can help each other to help us to understand some of the most conflicting views or ideas that we've been having about science and about religion? For example, when you take the issue of creation, evolution, and in fact, you also know that evolution has been pushed, there has been pushback on evolution itself too. So, but we understand that to some extent, evolution has some merits. But also, if you look at creation story too, even though we don't have all the details, you also see some merits in the creation story. But so you as a scientist, how, and also as a biologist, how are you able to marry this with your faith as a Christian?
Thank you, sir. Well, just as you said, I'm a Christian, both to say that, and I'm also a Christian scientist, and I'm in the order of several other Christian scientists. And I will start with a quote from two quotes that I love, one from Albert Einstein and one from Louis Pasteur. Albert Einstein said, science without religion is lame, and religion without science is blind. I'll repeat that. Science without religion is lame, and religion without science is blind.
That's powerful. I believe that too.
I don't want to be lame. I don't want to be blind.
Yeah.
Louis Pasteur said something which really has a big impression on me. He said, a little science distances you from God, but a lot of science brings you closer to Him.
Exactly. I believe that too.
I hold strong to that. And I've been in the lab in the middle of the night working. And while working, I will see a lot of complexity and I'll be like, on earth does this complexity come to be? When you see a lot of adaptive complexity in biological system, integration, the truth is we know in part, we speak in part. No science in heaven and on earth currently have been able to establish how life starts and how life ends. We've not been able to create life. Apart from life, the complexity of biological system, the smallest biological system,
is amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And I remember when I'm working in lab, sometimes I'm just, oh my God, when I know some wonder, consider all the works that hand have made. I'm not even seeing the sun or star. What is in front of me? This detail. If I generate molecular data from you, for you, from just a small tissue, there are hundreds of thousands molecular data, big
detail.
That we need big storage.
Alone.
The human gene, less than 30% of the human DNA is known. The rest, we call them nonsense because we don't know their functions.
Yeah.
But the truth is, if you are a molecular biologist, will tell you those nonsense are the ones that stabilize those ones that are being transcribed. This one that we think we don't know their functions. We believe they are the ones stabilizing the rest. So, discover is removing cover from something that has been covered. And that is my own approach to science. God is in it.
Yeah, and I believe the approach is very, very valid because when you see the complexity of life,
oh God,
the complexity of the
biological systems are too complex.
You see the amount of details.
And not just the details, the coordination.
Yeah, the coordination. You will know that this is not just a random thing.
Microseconds. If something is not, if one of them just lag a bit, there's a big problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Cancer grows.
Mm,
Cancer happens because cell refuse to stop growing.
mm,
That's how cancer happens.
mm,
So a particular cells they do mutiny.
mm,
They hijack resources
mm.
that the normal body function is using.
And they continue to
And they
grow.
continue to grow. And that's how it turns to cancer
Mm,
because they continue to grow.
mm, mm.
They hijack the rest of the resources. So that means cells know when to grow and when to stop growing.
Have to stop growing.
That's coordination.
Mm.
And at the same time, I want to be careful because you see people being like, forget about science. God.
Exactly, exactly.
Any
It's on
religion
both
that says
ends.
forget about science is
On both
just
ends.
as
We can't
Ibas
throw away
says,
science. For
it's
me,
like,
I can't throw away science.
I can't,
I can't.
I can't.
And I can't also throw away my faith.
Yeah, no.
Both are important
And
to me.
both are not even, they are working together for good.
Exactly. Exactly.
They are working together for good.
Exactly. Now, one more last question, Dr. Gbolaga. I want to ask you this question. How do you practice self-reflection? We've talked about your connection to your faith. And one thing when I see people that I admire and I love the way they do things, I always want to understand how they practice their self-reflection. I have my own way that I do, the way I practice my own self-reflection. But I just want to know from you so that people who are listening to you, who are inspired with what you have said, can also learn how to pattern their own life with your experience. So I just want to ask you, how do you practice self-reflection as a Christian scientist?
Yeah, thank you. The science journey
Yeah.
is a very terrible one. You lose your mind sometimes.
Mm,
You you get to a point you are depressed.
mm,
You are discouraged because you've been doing something like 100 times and it seems not to be working. Every PhDs outside there can relate with it,
mm,
especially if they are PhDs that crunch lab work.
mm,
They know how frustrating it can be when you've done something 20 times and you are getting depressed about it. One thing is, I always turn to Christ. That's the first source of strength for me. I
mm,
always turn to Jesus. I cry out to him and I say, fix me.
mm,
Fix me, Jesus, fix me.
mm,
There is this song that I love so much. That song says, precious Lord, hold my hand. Lift me, lead me on, let me stand. I
mm.
am tired. I am bored. I love that part because it's like I'm confessing all. I'm tired. I'm bored. I don't even know what to do. I'm really, really tired. Through the night, through the storm, lead me on, let me stand. Lead me on to the light, precious Lord. It's a song that I usually draw strength from. And at the same time, I understand that mistakes are meant to be made. If oh God, I was speaking about my first space experiment. I
Yeah.
was so careful about that experiment, but a mistake was made.
Wow.
I didn't know, you know, few like 5 months later, the facility that were handling those specimens for us, which I sent the specimen to after I have processed it. The man, I just received an email. My boss was copied in it, and the email said, "What happened to this sample? The sample is messed up. We cannot do anything with it."
Wow.
I felt like I was going to die that day.
Because you know how precious it was. Mm,
What happened to this sample? The sample was messed. I was like, the next day, I went to my boss and she said, I don't like how that man I don't like how that man talked to you in that email. I was like, "Oh, it's not about the man, it's about me now. Something I inconceivable, something is happening to me." And she said, well, let's talk to him. What can he do? And the man said, well, I can use an advanced machine and get something out of it. then I do it.
Mm.
And then I became so paranoid. Where does that mistake come from?
Mm.
I've practiced this thing for a whole year.
Mm.
Then how does the mistake? The mistake was that an human sample, human protein,
Mm.
got into plant protein in a
Mm.
very large quantity.
Wow.
That was the major mistake then, in a
Wow.
very, very large quantity.
Wow.
I became paranoid. Is it my hair? Is it my nail? Is it my saliva? I wasn't talking. I was fully kitted. Hey, and my boss said, she was so gracious to me. She said, well, I don't care. Find out the source of that mistake. People should be able to trust our lab.
Mm.
People
Mm.
should be able to trust our lab. That's what she said. Find the source of the mistake.
Mm.
For 6 months, I was looking for the source. I couldn't get it.
Mm.
Of the result came out. I prayed to God. I said, God, help me. He helped me. He helped
Mm.
me. He helped me. And I couldn't get the result, I mean, the source of that mistake. Then one day they brought another sample to our lab and they want us to analyze it. And then I took my protocol, that is the manual that we follow. And I looked at the manual and I saw that part of the manual said add 0.5 gram of so powder to this. That powder is the source of that human protein.
Mm.
Part of the manual. Then I ran to my boss and I said, boss, see the mistake, see the mistake. And my boss said, well, you've seen it. What are you gonna do? And I was like, for this thing for 6 months. And you treated it as if it's nothing. But one thing she made me understand is make mistake, don't dwell on it, move on.
Mm.
I understood that. We
Mm.
make mistake many times, we don't dwell on it,
Mm.
we move on.
Mm.
We move on. God understanding that you make mistake, you don't dwell on it, you look back at your mistake, you see how you can make amendment,
Mm.
and you carry on.
Mm.
That's me. And then as a leader, self-reflection as a leader, I understand that when I make my own mistake, it's my mistake. But when you as a leader, when I'm in a leading capacity and you make mistake, a leader's mistake is a leading mistake.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So I'm
It's,
very,
it's,
very
it's
careful when it comes to leadership.
misleading mistake.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't just spoil your own life, it spoils a lot of people's life.
That,
And that is one of the things that I always emphasize to anybody who wants to be a leader. Everybody want people to call them father, everybody want people to call them boss.
mm,
And I'll be like, you are bringing a lot of people's life into your hands. Are
mm.
you ready to really take responsibility for it? So I hope I was able to answer some of the questions.
Thank you, Doctor. This has been very amazing, and I think we should do this one more time at least. Find another time to talk more about space and what is happening with your own research and uh, the next frontier that you are planning to get yourself involved in uh, within the scope of space exploration. I want to thank you for taking time out to join me on this podcast. It's been very educative. It's been very enlightening. I trust that our viewers will really learn a lot from you. And I've really learned a lot, so much from you. I didn't even know that there is a difference between astrobiology and space biology and molecular biology. I got to learn about that in this podcast. And I'm sure a lot of people have learned different things that can help them. And I believe, well, there is no, how will I put it now? There is no quarrel that Nigeria is not tapping from you because they didn't sponsor you. United States of America sponsored you, and the allegiance has to go to them.
Yes.
I believe Nigeria can learn something from this and see what they can do to really nurture people and nurture people that can grow the country. If we keep losing people like you to other countries, it's of no benefit to us. Because whether you like it or not, if anything happens about space, your first allegiance will be to the United States of America and not to Nigeria, unfortunately, where you originally came from. So I just want to thank you for doing this with me. Hope to get you on another podcast sometimes in the future. Thank you.
Enjoyed myself. Thank you. Thank you, and have a great.
And you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.